I'm Mark.
I'm Max.
We're in Heeney.
Heeney.
There's two more of us. They're not here.
Not here.
Scott and John.
Scott and John.
What do you play?
Scott and John.
I play guitar.
I also play guitar.
I think I probably write like 75%.
Yeah, that's a pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah. And then Mark has songs, and Scott has songs also.
Scott has songs too. But yeah, Max is the voice that people hear the most. And I guess if you want to talk about the process, it's like he'll come with like an idea, and then we all jam it out together for a while. We usually like play it for like 10 minutes straight, and then we're like, okay, we should do this here and that there, and then it's a song.
Yeah, it's complicated actually because I have a really fucking I really care about bridges more than anything else in terms of songwriting.
It makes the bridges the most
so
important part.
when I listen to songs, I sort of like to think about how we go into the bridge and how we come out of the bridge are my most important things.
So why do you think the bridge is the most important part? I've never heard this.
It's just from listening to rock and roll for so long, it was just the parts that always seemed to be the most exciting were the bridges, where you have great hooks and great stories, which are the meat of the song, and then just the little twist and how they go into something new and then come back to this thing that's already familiar. It's kind of the most exciting.
You mentioned now twice that you are from New York, both of you, which doesn't happen that often these days. A lot of New York bands are not from New York.
I don't think you're from New York if you're from New York. I think only people who are not from New York are from New York. And that if you're a New Yorker and you grew up here, you're a townie.
You're a townie.
And you can't ever leave, and it feels completely like this city doesn't really belong to you, and you will never understand it, because what is important about New York is coming from somewhere else and discovering it and saying, oh, I found my place now, and that's who this city is really for. And if you're born and grow up here, you're kind of at a disadvantage because
you're stuck here.
Because you're stuck here, and then it's like, oh, well, my family and my baggage is all right here, and where do I escape to? Los Angeles?
Yeah, like, fuck that.
Thank you.
Well, that's the thing. and the other part is that like all of us who grow up here are so fucked up usually, and so then there's like, we grow up too quick. You start doing things too quickly, and
True dat also.
And so it's like it kind of fucks you up in this
Also,
weird way.
though.
And what I wonder is like, where did all the New Yorkers go? Where
I
did
don't
they
know,
all?
though.
I don't know, son.
They all moved to like North Carolina. and shit.
Like weird places where people would usually escape to come here.
Your friends, so growing up, were they still in the city? Like
Some.
your high school pals?
Yeah, because they get stuck because
They
you
get
can't.
stuck.
There's no.
We're
because
stuck. I'm stuck. I don't want to live here.
If they're ambitious, they
hate
have
it.
to stay here, which is what's very different because
Brooklyn
in most
Garagey.
places,
Yeah.
well, most places, most of America, the really ambitious kids will leave.
Right.
And so if you're here and you're ambitious, it's like you have to stay here. I think we have a little bit of ownership over it.
Not over
just
the
because-
Brooklyn music scene, though. Don't associate yourself with that. I mean, I guess we sort of do.
Why wouldn't I
Why
when
wouldn't
we
you?
had so much to
Alright.
do with the creation of some quintessential venues and
That's
stuff
true.
like that? It's like we certainly have a hand in
Everything.
the
We have built walls in
in
many of these halls.
but it certainly doesn't mean we have any like real ownership over it. But we're definitely a part of it, and growing up here did help because all these people are people we've known for a really long time, but it still doesn't. I guess it still doesn't belong to us. It's still an infrastructure that's set up for people to come in from outside and take over. It's fun to play in new cities and stuff because you get really genuine reactions from people because they're not your friend and they don't owe you anything, and so when they come up to you and say that they really enjoyed it, it's actually really meaningful.
And of course that can be tough too. But at the same time, I don't know. I wanted to go back and the one thing I realized while you were talking is that the venue that we are most closely associated with, Shea Stadium, is the only of the, I mean, sort of. I don't know. I guess Silent Barn is both, but like
I had a lot to do with Silent Barn.
most of the DIY venues are started by non-New Yorkers, by transplants, aka real New Yorkers, by your thing.
Right.
And so
Maybe.
Shea is the only one though that was started by
Right.
purely only native New Yorkers. Bay Ridge, Brooklyn,
Shay has
real
a particularly native flavor with its name and everything.
with the name. Well, the name and the people who run it. It's a whole
If you listen to one song forever on repeat, what would it be?
Fuck.
Hands by Jewel.
Yeah. I love Jewel.